everyone. Today we're going to be talking about 1 Nephi Chapter 1, verses 18 and 19. Therefore I would that ye should know that after the Lord had shown so many marvelous things unto my father, Lehi, yea, concerning the destruction of Jerusalem, behold, he went forth among the people, and began to prophesy and declare to them concerning the things which he had both seen and heard. And it came to pass that the Jews did mock him because of the things which he testified of them, for he truly testified of their wickedness and their abominations, and he testified that the things which he saw and heard, and also the things which he read in the book, manifested plainly of the coming of a Messiah, and also the redemption of the world. Why wouldn't the Jews believe that Jerusalem could be destroyed? Why was this such a radical idea at the time? Why was Lehi rejected because of it? We're going to look at all that and more.
As always, the opinions expressed in this video are my own personal opinions and not that of the church or any of its leaders.
We need to understand the history of Jerusalem in the background. Jerusalem is literally translated as the city of peace in Hebrew. But it has literally been anything but that. We have 5,000 years of history, one of the oldest cities on the planet. All three major world religions consider it a holy land, whether it's you're Christian, a Jew, or a Muslim. Everybody believes that Jerusalem is a holy land promised to them through Father Abraham. On 40 different occasions it's been conquered, and it's been outright destroyed 18 times. So you can see Jerusalem is anything but a city of peace. It's always been a land of contention. David conquers the holy city. In 1900 BC, Abraham was promised the land for his posterity. Jews, being the posterity, the children of Israel, took the city in 1010 BC under King David, the same David that beat Goliath. He takes Jerusalem from the Jebusites. The Jebusites had actually already built a wall. David actually went under the wall to get into Jerusalem and conquer the Jebusites and take Jerusalem for the Jews. In 957, David's son Solomon built the first temple in Jerusalem. In 700 BC, Isaiah prophesies that Jerusalem will not be destroyed by the oncoming Assyrians, and Jehovah would save them. So now think about this. King David takes the city that the Jews believe was rightfully theirs. They hold the city for 257 years. Around 700 BC, Assyrians are taking over everywhere. They're taking over the world. They're taking over everything north, east, south, and west of Jerusalem, surrounding Jerusalem, and leaving Jerusalem to be the last to conquer. Hezekiah is paying taxes like crazy to the Assyrians, trying to keep the Assyrians from attacking Jerusalem. Isaiah is counseled, and Isaiah says, don't worry, the Lord will not let the Assyrians take over Jerusalem. Hezekiah at the time was leaning towards the idea of forming an alliance with Egypt, hoping Egypt would save them. Isaiah said, don't trust Egypt. In 700 BC, the Assyrians came up to attack Jerusalem, and as Isaiah prophesied, 185,000 Assyrian troops dropped dead the night before the attack. So Jehovah saved Jerusalem. At this point, I think Jerusalem feels pretty invincible. They've been given this city by God, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. In 606 BC, however, Babylon took control of Jerusalem but allowed the Jews to remain. They became a vassal state to Babylon, similar to the way they were treated with the Assyrians. So they still had their religion, they still had their belief system. Some of them had been taken away into Babylon as part of a control system that Babylon had put in place. But for the most part, the Jews were fine in Jerusalem, other than a heavy burden of tax to Babylon and King Nebuchenezer. And then in 600 BC, we read from the Book of Mormon, there came many prophets prophesying that Jerusalem would be destroyed. We see in the Bible at the same time that Jeremiah was saying the same thing. He also talks about a prophet Uriah that we read about in the Lachish letters who was saying the same thing. We have Huldah and a bunch of other prophets that we mentioned in earlier earlier videos. Go back and watch those earlier videos in chapter 1 to learn more about that. The situation in 600 BC, we have Egypt on the west. We have the Babylonian Empire in the east, and we have Jerusalem kind of stuck in the middle. Jerusalem and the Jews have been doing tons of business with Egypt. They've really kind of grown accustomed to an Egyptian way of life. A lot of them have learned Egyptian language. A lot of them can communicate with the Egyptians to do business. It's a really solid relationship they have, especially financially. Meanwhile, Jerusalem's being forced to pay heavy taxes to Babylon. The government and the upper class is not loving this idea of continuing to pay Babylon these heavy taxes. And this idea creeps back into the thought of the people that, hey, what if we go back and join Egypt? What if we form an alliance with Egypt? They'll protect us from Babylon. We won't have to pay these heavy taxes, and we'll continue doing business with Egypt, and we'll all be rich and powerful and happy. So that's the situation. The government was leaning that way. They were preparing their armies to help defend the city, Jerusalem, as they made the switch to Egypt. Meanwhile, the prophets are saying, don't do this, don't turn your back on Babylon, stay the course and try to repent, and then the Lord will protect us always. It's the same message that Isaiah was preaching 100 years prior. Now Lehi, Jeremiah, Uriah, Huldah, all these prophets are saying the same thing. Don't form an alliance with Egypt. Just do what's right. If we repent and live righteously, the Lord will protect us. Well, then in 587 BC, after Lehi and his family gets out, Jerusalem try to form their alliance with Egypt, and Nebuchadnezzar is not too happy about it. 587 BC, he sends in the troops, and they destroy Jerusalem, and Egypt's nowhere to be found. With all this background and context, everything that Lehi is saying at the time fits right into place. How did Joseph Smith, frontier farm boy, have this great understanding of the political environment of 600 BC in Jerusalem? We juxtapose that with these testimonies from Edwin C. Briggs that said one time while he was translating, he stopped suddenly pale as a sheet and said, "Emma, did Jerusalem have walls around it?" When I answered yes, he replied, "Oh, I was afraid I had been deceived." He had such a limited knowledge of history at the time that he did not even know that Jerusalem was surrounded by walls. He didn't even know that Jerusalem had walls around it, but somehow we're supposed to believe that he knew that there was this political strife going on between the upper class and the Orthodox Jews, that people were trying to form an alliance with Egypt while Babylon was knocking on the door. This is stuff that we didn't even understand in the 1800s, anyone, until the discovery of things like the Lachish letters. For me to believe that Joseph Smith made this up, this would be an extremely lucky guess and far-fetched that he would have any understanding of the political environment of 600 BC, but yet the Book of Mormon is again spot on when it comes to the context of the Middle East and the time in which it was written.